Okay, so to cut a long story short, it ended up, in fact, it's 2 years this month that it got to such a point. I just thought I cannot remain in this club any longer, and neither did my colleague Hilary, who's been past district secretary and other things as well. So again, we've got a good record in Rotary, and we both love Rotary. I think it's a wonderful organisation. And what happened to us was so awful that you know, we're at the point of just didn't know what to do, and we didn't want to go and join another club nearby because we're right in between two clubs as it is. So we had a meeting in the March. This was with Ken McLennan and DG Ian Dow, Jim Hatter, our AG, and another member of district, and we said, what on earth can we do? So Ken McLennan, who I'd worked with for 3 years and I was membership chair for district, and Ken was on my team, said, well, just go for it, go for a new club. So we did that, and so we don't have a mother club. We had the full support of a district team, and we literally walked the streets and put notices through people's doors, right the stretch from Newborough to Ellen to Ythan Bank to Methlick, out towards 5A, right the length of the Ythan River. That's why we call ourselves Ythan Valley. And it was hard work, a lot of leg work, and a lot of speaking to people one-to-one. And I encountered so many stories about folks thinking, but Rotary doesn't have women in it, you're not allowed to have women in it. And so I had to try and squash that. It was a bit like the Vicar of Dibley, you know. So, well, actually, I'm a woman. And here I am. So we did that, and we held over. We had 7 information meetings throughout over the period of April through to May of that year, and we held them at different times of day. We had one at 6 o'clock in Brewdog in Ellen. We had a couple in the Kirk Centre in Ellen. We had one out at Newborough in the pub. We had one in Ythan Bank Hall where we live, one in Methlick, and we had a mixed interest. There were 2 places that nobody turned up to, but you know, we ploughed on, and at the end of the day we had in Ythan Bank Hall, which was the best meeting we had, information meeting, with 35 people turned up, and that was on a Sunday afternoon. So Malcolm and Bob and I chose the date and the time because it's a Sunday afternoon. If they want to go to church, they can go in the morning. It's the end of the weekend, so actually that was the one time and the one day that has been the most successful. So again, cut a long story short, we got our charter on the 17th of September, so we're almost a year old. And let me tell you, trying to get that magic number of 20 people, because that's what RI says, to start a new club is horrifically difficult. A lot of people have said that why is it not something like realistic, like 8 or 10, where you've got people that are really keen to join. So we had 24 to start off with, and folk have come and gone, and we've got new members coming in. So it's a wee bit Buckhaven and Methil kind of. So that's what we've got. We don't have any, we meet twice a month, the 2nd Sunday of the month and the 4th Sunday of the month. Now, before COVID, the second meeting in the month was generally, it was a social event. It ended up, we went to a burn supper and did things like that. But the first of our meetings is always a business meeting. So we don't have any meals. We go along to the Ythan Bank Hall and we have a cup of tea, a biscuit, a chat from 3:30 to 4 with folk just coming in, and our meetings from 4 to 5. We don't have any graces, raising whatever, and it's very, very informal. And as Kath Charlie said on Monday night at the forum, their club sounds a bit disorganised, and it's not disorganised, and we're a wee bit like that ourselves. We're not beholden to having to check that one committee agrees with what another committee is wanting to do. So it's very informal, but it is a work in progress. And I really, really enjoy the challenge, and it's hard work, but we're finding our feet. So that's how we started, and that's what we did. And I know going to the forums that people are very concerned about how do you get new members. And I was saying, Ken McLennan and I, for 3.5 years, went round district at conferences and at district councils. We've visited clubs. I've been up and down the country to Shetland. I've been across to Stornoway. You know, one of the things that I think that, you know, if we want Rotary to grow, is to, yes, encourage our existing clubs, and a lot of clubs like yourselves are now being much more flexible. But I think that starting a new club is actually a wonderful way to grow Rotary and to get more people into Rotary, break through a few of the glass ceilings that are there. And that's I really strongly believe that is what we can do. So that's my story. So I'll just go home now while I'm at home. So I'm happy to answer any questions, David. It's not what we've done is not rocket science, but it's a bit out of the box, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Eleanor. And I say, we'll open it up to discussion, ask questions, but if you can come through the chair just so we can keep a little bit of order to it. And I'll try and get to everybody. You can either stick your hands up and wave, or you can go into the participants list at the bottom and you can hit raise hand, and that'll flag up on either my screen or Malcolm's screen, and we can take it from there. Right, I'm just going to go through in order. Malcolm had his hand up first.
Yeah, I was just wondering, Eleanor, what are you doing at the moment? How are you meeting? Are you meeting by Zoom? How are you maintaining the momentum at the moment?
Yeah, we as soon as the writing was on the wall as far as physically meeting together, and before I became president, in fact I shouldn't have been president this year, but the guy that was going to do it chickened out, so I said I would do it. Good grief. That started planning in May, and so we meetings by Zoom, yes, Malcolm, and we have continued with our business meeting. And what we do is there's a lot of us in the club are still working, and a lot of clubs know that, you know, sort of use job talks or something like that. And because COVID came in so soon after we started, it was we barely got to know a lot of people. So I thought, well, let's have job talks, and I did over 2 weeks. I phoned lots of people. So we have a member every month doing a wee job talk, and nobody turned me down, and they're all happy to do that. So that's in our business meeting. The second meeting of the month, I decided to say that we would have a main event, which has turned out to be Alan Perry from the car raffle, some other people to give a talk. We've had somebody from the Aberdeen Advanced Motorists. We have had we've had a couple of quiz nights, which a lot of clubs have done. We had a fantastic wine tasting night with a guy, Matthew Gary's, my husband's a member of Mensa, and Matthew's a member of Scottish Mensa, and I was at a Mensa meeting where he did a wine tasting, and he was really delighted to do a wine tasting with us one Friday night, and it was everybody said we need to do that again. So we're quite imaginative. We've also got a clothing bank, which is still very active, and over the summer especially, it was a bit of an eye-opener, we supported the COVID-19 ward in ARI with pyjamas and slippers and dressing gowns and underpants and tops for the men actually in that ward. So, and I picked that up from a wee group in Ythan Valley. So we do regularly meet. So we've done that outside. That's an ongoing thing. We've got a group of guys that are happy to do tree lopping or something like that and help out in folks' gardens. So we've been, we're keeping the momentum going. And I decided at the club assembly that I was going to call it a tale of two halves. So we planned the first 6 months up to the end of December, and we're going to go into chat rooms in September and break up and look at January through to July. We thought we would wait and see how things were going. So I know that's a long answer to a short question, but that's.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thanks, Eleanor. Ronnie.
Yeah, thanks very much, President Dave. Eleanor, you said you went to Stornoway. You're not telling me that you managed to have a Rotary meeting on the Sabbath in Stornoway. I remember when I was instructor with the Territorial Army and going up there, and the drill hall was across the road for the Free Kirk, and the soldiers who were in training had to go behind because they couldn't be seen by the kirk. So how did you manage to square that one away?
We did it on a Saturday.
Well done.
You know, that was a brilliant weekend that we had in the Outer Hebrides. In fact, it was 5 days. Gary and I and Mick and Hilary, we made a wee mini holiday, and it was a visioning exercise that we did with them. They got their rotor actors in as well, and the Stornoway Club actually set up for not, you know, not Rota Kids, a Rota creche. So that was one of the outcomes from that visioning exercise that we did with them. But yeah, you're right, because on the Sunday we were caught short with our packed lunch, so we could only get something out of the local garage. So yeah, it's been brilliant.
Jim Grant.
Yeah, Eleanor, how many of your members were former members of the Rotary Club?
4. There was me, Hilary.
So the rest are all new to Rotary?
brand new, and absolutely, Jim. And that's tricky, because you know the last thing you want to do is overload people with information about Rotary, or they get rotoried out, and they're just. So it's been a drip feed. Then we've been quite. I think we've been quite inventive with what we've done. So that's that, and that's also, you know, our club is built. We encouraged people that were civic-minded, community-spirited people. We didn't go to offices or businesses, because my previous club, that's how they tried to get new members. We went for people that wanted to give something back to their community, and that's what we've got. So none of them are, we've got a doctor, we've got teachers, we've got folk right across the board, we've got retired people as well. And, you know, they're all good folk in their own right, but to try and, I've recognised that they are lacking in confidence to put their hand up to be part of something, or maybe even lead something, and it's because they're not sure of what Rotary is all about, and therefore they feel like they're not sure about what they can tell their pals or their neighbours of what Rotary is about. So it's going to take a wee while to work, but we're actually gradually getting folk that are willing to put their hands up now. So that's good. So it's much more difficult in that respect, Jim. So thanks for asking that question.
Then one of 2 other questions, and they're quite short. What's your average age of your membership? Do you know?
About 45.
Wow. Yeah. And is Eduardo still walking, or is he completed?
He's done it. Can you hold on a minute? I'm just going to put my light on. I suddenly realise I'm sitting in the dark here. Oh God, that's awful.
So he's completed?
He's done it, yeah. He finished on the 30th, Jim. And honestly, we can't, this has been, that whole thing was Rotary at its very best. Jim and everyone, I can't thank you. Your club is, you know, your club is part of the support. What he received, and it was a mad idea that he and his boss and a fellow worker had done one weekend, and so he phoned Gary and I up and said, "What do you think? Do you know what?" And so we said, Rotary, you know, you're a Rotarian. But of course, poor lad knew nothing about this. So we got the homestays. Gary and I and David, every single day for 5 weeks we were checking up and everything. It was a lot of work, and I'm blown away by what he achieved and what Rotary achieved. It's a fantastic story, and it's right across Scotland. It wasn't just our district. It was wonderful, and he's such a nice guy.
Oh, he is. Yeah.
And so he's got a job, and I don't know if you know this, eventually he's got a job with the National Trust across at Glenfinnan near Fort William.
He wasn't sure when he was here whether he was going to get a job or not.
He didn't get any of the jobs in Aberdeenshire that he went for. But you know, I saw a difference in him. And he's quite a confident guy, but a very caring guy. I shouldn't say for his age, but you know what I mean. And he was a true ambassador for whom he worked, and also for Rotary. So I would like to see that we could maybe make.
Well, could you send my congratulations to him for having completed?
I certainly will, Jim. Thank you.
We had Jim and I spent the evening with him, and Derek and met him as well.
I know it was
on the evening, and he's a super guy. Jim and I went on to have a bite to eat with him, and we could have chatted all night with him. He's just so easy to get on with, and such an interesting chap. I know he said he'll come and have a chat with the club at some point.
Well, he will. I think once we're trying to get him along on Sunday, but his work hours he works on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which is 5 days, and it's from 9 till 5. Right. So meeting up with us is still a member, and he's going to remain as a member until he decides what he's going to do. So, but he's got a lovely. He's actually. I've heard some of the films, the videos, clips that he's done for various things in his archaeological side of things, and he's got a lovely voice over actually. So he's very good to listen to. So I think you probably find out speaking to him, but professionally like that, he's very good.
Neil, you had your follow-up.
Just a quick question. Other than what Eduardo's been up to, as a club, what do you reckon your main fundraising will be, how it will be done?
Well, Neil, thanks for that question. And I can only, I'm sorry, I'll quote Kath Chorley again in this, because she's in the same boat as we are. We were very clear from the word go that we wanted to be a group of people who wanted to be active and project led, and that is our key. Now when it comes to fundraising, now recognise that any projects we've got an idea for one which we might be able to get off the ground, we'll need to fundraise for. So fundraising is on the agenda, Neil, but it's not majorly, I have to say. We don't like, I hate the idea of, we've had a couple of quizzes, and we've invited people that came to that if they wanted to give a donation, if they wanted to, and people expect you to ask them to do that, which is a bit embarrassing. So we've done that, but we've got First Steps Himalaya, which Hilary has. That's her baby, and I mean that in a positive way. And we've just been accepted by Global Giving, which is a crowdfunding business. Now, heaven knows how that's going to go. So in answer to that, Neil, we haven't got any major fundraising ideas, to be honest. I don't like folk. I know when I was in my previous club, you know, somebody said we might as well sign a cheque for 500 quid, and that would be it, fundraising, if you know what I mean, because folk were always being asked for money. So I can't think of anything off the top of my head that we're majorly doing, Neil, and that's a bridge that we're going to have to cross when we come to it, because we all recognise that we're going to have to be able to do that. I'm sorry, you know, I hope you're not, I don't want to embarrass anybody here, right? But Dawn, who is going to be president in 2 years' time, sent me a wee WhatsApp yesterday, and she said that she has just been reading about a madam in Australia. Malcolm's nodding his head. Who has got two
the same stuff
houses.
as you.
And she's a Rotarian. So I said, that's what we're going to do. That's our major fundraising. So if you saw half of us in our club, I don't think we make much money, but we thought that was quite interesting.
Not only was she a Rotarian, but she was also the president of our club.
Yes, that's right. Malcolm, what have you been reading?
Life and work. There was actually a documentary on the telly about it, I think.
That's where she saw it. It was a documentary.
I think I caught sight of that as well at some point. Yeah. Derek.
Dear.
Well, you're like any other club. We're trying to focus on getting new members, and one of the things is the cost of Rotary. How did you manage to sell the cost of Rotary to your new members for your new club?
Good question.
Have you tried to keep it down to a minimum by not having meals?
Yes.
Or how have you sold it to them?
Yeah, Derek, we knew that this was going to be a key question. And even before we set out, we had a lot of conversations. First of all, my previous club treasurer would not allow people to have a monthly, not pay as you go, but you know what I mean. And we worked out that, and we put it to the club, that we would ask people to pay monthly. And we had worked it out that for the cost of the hall that we use, it's virtually nothing. Taking into account all the subs and fees that we've got to pay, we had worked it out that it would be £8 a month. So somebody in the club said, well, why don't we make it £10 a month? It's a nice round figure, and that extra £2 can go towards paying for anything extra that we would do. So that was proposed and agreed, and that's what we do, Derek. It's £10 a month. Now, as we all know, we have fallen, COVID's been kind to us, and we haven't had any district fees. So we're going to hopefully reduce that cost. So it's not been, that's how we sold it, and we were honest right from the word go and said that it would not be more than £10 a month, and that's what we've stuck to. We have got a young woman who's a photographer, and she is exceptionally talented, and she's been caught short with the COVID thing because she's actually works out of a part of Haddo House, which is National Trust, and she'd only been given a year. So we are having a conversation with our council to see if we could ask the club if they'd be happy to bring her in as an associate member, Derek, for a year, and see how she gets on, because it's awful that there are so many people, and it's not going to improve who can't afford that. Now, somebody could say £10 a month, not very much, but when you've got a wee boy who has got special needs, and you're trying very hard to sort things out and do your job, I don't think anybody should be excluded because of the finances. So we're going to have to take that in a sort of a one, if we find other people like that, Derek, that's what we'll do.
Okay, thank you.
Pardon.
Any other questions for Eleanor?
Just a
Chris.
comment. Sorry, there's Chris. On you go.
Chris.
Yeah, in connection with quizzes, I'm quite interested, not just for Rotary, but also for other organisations I'm involved in. And I can imagine that when this whole business is over, the first quiz that is going to run anywhere is going to be standing room only. But basically, how long did these quizzes last, and how many people were you getting? Because isn't there a limit to the number of people that you can get on Zoom?
The limit is 100, Chris. So we've never had that, so it hasn't been a problem. And what we've done, we've regulated it by making sure that everybody knows, if anybody's interested, they need to let Gary, my husband, know, because Gary's our Zoom man in the club. And so we've had about between 30 and 40, and the whole evening probably lasts, for the quizzes themselves probably last for about an hour, and an hour and a half. So, and that's long enough. It's Hilary, whom a lot of you should know, will know from being district secretary. Hilary, she does the quizzes, and she's been doing them for donkey's years. She's been doing the primary school quiz along with Mick Gordon, her husband. So they're very good. Yeah, it's worth a go. And if you've got somebody that's a good quiz master, and you've got a good selection of quizzes, that's worth a go.
Mark, I think you wanted to come in.
I was just going to say, somewhere in my memory bank it says Buckhaven and Methil not got unemployed people. I'm sure there's one of the clubs down that way that has.
Yes, they do.
If you're doing quizzes, sorry, on you go, Eleanor.
No. On you go. I was going
to change the subject. No, on you go.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Yes, you are correct, Malcolm. And what they did and what they do is that their members agreed to put in money every month in various ways to be able to pay the unemployed people's fees. Mm-hmm. I can't remember how they do it, because I was involved with Buckhaven and Methil right from the word go, and I had the privilege of chartering them because Roddy Duncan's wife was taken seriously ill the very day of it, so I went down with Gary and I did it. But I knew all about them anyway. So they have got a very, very different demograph in all sorts of different ways from the majority of clubs. And it'd be worth speaking to them if you wanted them, because Claire and Christy would be, and Alistair obviously would be happy to speak to you about it.
Okay. I was just going to make a comment about quizzes. We had family quizzes.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let your grandchildren make up quiz questions. Because we had a round one Sunday afternoon on Minecraft.
Not chance.
I mean, Chris and I, Chris was a French and German teacher. We're not stupid. We got nothing out of 10. Minecraft. It was a disaster.
I know that. Minecraft or Fortnite. That's another one that our kids are going, no, I haven't a clue.
Anybody else get any questions? No. Well, everybody's quiet. Eleanor, thank you very much for your chat and your information. I ask you to take our greetings back to Ythan Valley.
Aye.
I'll call on Neil to give the vote of thanks.
Eleanor, it's been great having you here tonight, and I've been looking forward to this talk because obviously I've heard you on the calls on a Monday night, and I've heard so much about Ythan Valley. It's true to say none of us know what our meetings are going to look like once the pandemic clears, and we're all somewhat in limbo or transition right now. And to think that a year ago that you started a new club, you proved it can be done. You're obviously very, very enthusiastic, which is encouraging for the rest of us. You got new members to join. And for me, the big thing is you broke through tradition. And that is a big challenge that faces many, many clubs. Knowing that you've managed to achieve it is impressing, and I can only help us as we try to attract new members into Kirriemuir. So thanks very much for that. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'll ask everyone to give you a nice round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil, for these very kind words.